The Sunday Baroque podcast is made possible by WSHU and the Friends of Sunday Baroque. You can find out more about the Friends of Sunday Baroque and find out how to become one yourself by visiting our website, sundaybaroque.org, under the Contact tab. Rafael Sanchez Guevara plays viola da gamba and cello. The Mexico City native earned his bachelor's degree in cello performance from the National Autonomous University of Mexico and a master's degree in viola da gamba from the University of Montreal. He has been a member of several leading early music ensembles and teaches viola da gamba in Mexico City. Rafael Sanchez Guevara joins me on Zoom to talk about his instrument and his career as a musician. Hello.
Hello, Suzanne. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very glad to be here.
It's a real pleasure to meet you face-to-face like this. First things first, though, how have you been doing during these past 15 months or so of the pandemic?
Well, it's been a hard time for all of us. Fortunately, I've been doing well. I mean, me and my family are all in good health, so that's the main thing. And well, teaching online a lot, which is something that I have never imagined would work for music, but we just figured out that it's possible and it works. Of course, it's not the same, but I'm very, very glad and motivated to be able to work with different kind of students and be a witness of their progress. And I've learned a lot also. Playing at home, reading, trying to finish my doctoral dissertation, and all that kind of work that we can do only at home. No concerts, only a couple of video recordings, some homemade recordings, some other more like professional productions, but quite at home.
Yeah. That's how I found you, looking around online. I found one of your beautiful solo performances. I believe it was Carl Friedrich Abel. And it was just really lovely and very striking. And I was so impressed by your artistry. And I just thought it was really marvelous. And so I'm so glad that we were able to connect, through the pandemic, essentially, because you were putting these out online.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very touched by your words, and it means that even if we are isolated, everyone at home, we can somehow meet new people and touch each other through the music, which is kind of a miracle. And I'm very, very glad to be part of that.
Yeah, well said. So how did you first get into music, and how old were you, and was cello your first instrument?
Yes, I started with cello at the age of 12 or 13.
Oh.
In Mexico, there is not a very strong tradition of, very little kids playing instruments like in Europe or the US maybe, where, kids start very, very young.
Sure.
And here, it's not like that. I mean, people maybe play at home for fun a lot everywhere, but not as a professional or more academic training. So I just discovered music completely random. At first I was studying theater for this kind of teenage at a workshop for different kind of arts, and I picked theater at first. And I was attending to activities and workshops, and I found that in the same little school there was also music classes. And I was completely surprised and very excited, and I asked if I could also take some music lessons, and I picked the cello. Just it was completely random.
Really?
Yes, and I started. It was a very nice program because they help young people to. They borrow the instruments. They lend the instruments to the students, and
Mhm.
it's a very nice program. And I started there at the age of 12 or 13,
Uh-huh.
and I very quickly discovered a big passion for playing the cello.
Wow, wow, and talent as well.
Thank you.
So at what point did you sort of realize, wow, this is what I am meant to do? This is really my life's work.
It was very soon. I have to say it was a kind of a shock. It was kind of an epiphany. The very first days,
Wow.
I got to make some noise from my cello, from my borrowed cello.
Yeah.
I was fascinated, and I just couldn't stop. Like trying to find different. Just like a beginner, but I was kind of addicted to to play and try things and try to play tunes that I knew by ear or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And a couple of years after that, I decided to get into the National School of Music,
Mhm.
which is where I studied my career or my main formal studies in music at the
Right.
age of 15.
Wow. Well, what first got you interested in viola da gamba and early music in general? Because that's a bit of a jump as well.
Yes, it was already in the school when I started. It was also quite soon when I started studying cello at the National School of Music. And it was completely related with the teacher there. It was a class of history of music, and the teacher who was giving that class uh, plays also viola da gamba. She teaches history of music and viola da gamba,
Wow.
and she's very passionate about early music, of course, and viola da gamba and historical performance.
Hmm.
And she brought recordings, beautiful recordings of early music and instruments that I'd never heard before: harpsichord, the traverso, viola da gamba, baroque cello, baroque violin. And I was very interested, and I asked her for viola da gamba lessons there in the school. So I was doing um, my major degree in cello, and started lessons also quite soon after I entered into the school.
Wow. I
Mm-hmm.
think this would be a good point for you to maybe give a little bit of an explanation of the difference, the similarities and differences between a cello and a viola da gamba, because I think the average person looks at it and thinks, well, that's pretty much the same thing, right? I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
are, but not.
Right. Yes. Well, uh, they look kind of similar
Hmm.
because of the shape of the size, but viola da gamba is a whole family of instruments. So you can have actually different sizes, like the flute, soprano or treble, alto, tenor, bass, great bass. So you can have a whole family of viola da gamba. The main solo repertoire is written for bass, viola da gamba, but there is a very nice, interesting, fascinating tradition of playing in concert, which is this family of instruments, as the flutes also, or
Hmm.
the violins, right? In the Baroque orchestra is mainly a violin concert. So you have the treble, which is the violin, the alto, which is the viola, the bass, which is the cello, the great bass, the double bass. So it's the same tradition,
Hmm.
but the viola da gamba has its specific features, characteristics. I would say the most important is probably the tone, the kind of color of the sound.
Hmm.
The strings are way thinner than the cello, for example, which produces a very mellow vocal sound. And it's always described as very subtle, very soft, very melancholic. So during a long period of time, it was associated with some states of mind or feelings or affects. So that's why it's more than the very physical or material characteristics. The viola da gamba is associated with some kind of feelings or affects.
Yeah. So, who are some of your favorite composers and music for viola da gamba?
Well, I the piece that I'm playing in that moment is always my favorite. But I could say Carl Friedrich Abel is a very special composer for me. I feel when I play his music, I feel very close to his feelings somehow. And one of the first pieces that I played by him was one of his personal notebook pieces. So Abel published a lot of music when he was alive: symphonies, quartets, sonatas, etc. But he also had personal pieces that he didn't publish, but he just noted, sketched it in a notebook, and they were found afterwards. They were apparently a gift also for a friend of his who was an amateur. And when I played that, I feel that I was completely connecting with the feelings of someone who is not trying to speak to a big audience, but just to himself. Very intimate, very honest, and not necessarily perfect or very. Some pieces are unfinished, but I was really touched by the vulnerability and the intimacy of that music, and I think it's one of my favorites. And Bach, of course. Bach's music for viola da gamba is amazing, and that's why I believe it's associated with a feeling, because, for instance, Bach uses the viola da gamba in the most devastating moments of the passions, of St. John's passions and St. Matthew passions, right in the most dramatic and terrible moments of the piece. There is an aria with viola da gamba. So I think it was very connected with a feeling of intimacy and deepness in the Baroque.
You started learning on that borrowed cello, but tell me about your instruments now. You know, where and when were they made, and how long have you had them, and how did you choose them?
Well, I love that question. It's very important for a player. We really have a relationship with our instruments and our voice. I am very fortunate to have a viola da gamba made by French-Canadian luthier Francis Beaulieu, who lives in Montreal. And right now he's very famous, and he has a lot of work and a lot of commissions from all around the world. And when I asked him for a viola da gamba, I didn't know him. Basically, it was a suggestion by a teacher, Sarah Cunningham, who you might know. She's a teacher at Juilliard, and she's an amazing gamba player. I met her in a summer course in Boston, and I was looking for a gamba to buy, and she said, there is a very talented young luthier in Montreal, and I was considering going to Montreal to study my master's degree. So it was kind of a perfect timing, and I dropped him an email, and he said, yes, I can make you an instrument. So I have a 7-string bass, viol made by Francis Bolian. It's a beautiful instrument. I'm very happy. I think it has a lot of possibilities and resources for me as a player. And I have a cello who is made, a Baroque cello made by a Mexican luthier who is based in Cremona in Italy, and Adrian Salazar. And it's a copy of an instrument made in 1717 by Ruggeri. So these two are my partners in crime for musicking.
Wow.
And I'm very, very glad. I'm very fortunate to have them.
Wow. What are some of the musical ensembles you play in or have played in? And what are some of the, I don't know, interesting or favorite projects you've worked on with them or plan to work on with them?
Mm-hmm. Well, here in Mexico, I am also very, very fortunate and very happy to be part La Fontegara ensemble, which is an ensemble that has a long story. It was founded in 1988, and it was founded by most of my teachers. The gamba player who founded it was my gamba teacher, and then she stopped playing in concerts, and I joined the ensemble in 2010, 11 years ago already. And it has been a beautiful journey I have learned a lot. I have learned more than in any school or in any class, just playing and rehearsing and listening to Maria Diaz-Canedo, amazing flute player, and Eunice, harpsichord player, and all the work of chamber music that teaches you so much about your instrument, about meeting the other sounds and following or being followed or leading or waiting. And I love chamber music, and that's what I enjoy the most of being a musician. And we have played in amazing places with great guests as Manfred Kremer, and every project is an adventure, and I'm very, very happy. And the other project that I'm very proud of is the Lacrime project we did with the Les Voix Humaines Consort of viols in Montreal. We did the recording, the CD, with Nigel North and the lute, and we toured Mexico and Montreal. And I was remember that we rehearsed so much. At the end, we almost knew by heart all the program, and they are amazing, beautiful musicians, great people that I very generous in their artistry. Also, I'm very, very glad, and I learned very much from that.
Wow. You've had so many wonderful teachers and role models and mentors, and now you are doing that yourself. You're teaching viola da gamba. What do you enjoy about teaching?
I love teaching. I love the idea of being able to not guide, even just accompany or help or other people to make music and do it together. For me, is as there is a in Spanish we say when one person teaches, two people learn. So I learn more than my students, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel challenged positively, because I feel like I want to bring my best and to help them to bring their best too.
Mm-hmm.
And we just opened the major in viola da gamba finally in the National University, which is a first in Mexico. And I am very glad that there is a very big interest, and the school has finally accepted to do it as a major, which is a great step. And many young people want to play the viola, and that is, I feel very excited and very fortunate to be able to do a little contribution to that.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned when you were saying you didn't start until 12 or 13 because there really wasn't any kind of program for younger. Has that changed at all, or are you making any inroads and changing that so that people can find their way to music earlier than you did?
Yes, yes. Actually, we have an 11-year-old gamba student at the school, which is also a very important step. We asked the school to buy small tenor viols for the kids, and we go to the kids program, and we show them the viol, and we try to, many people don't know the instrument, so it's also important to spread the word and show the instrument and play. And we've done also some didactic or videos explaining what's the instrument, how does it work, how does it sound. It's a lot of it's endless, it's all to be done, and it's very, very exciting and very challenging. And I think it's already paying back because there are more and more people interested.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As a musician, as a performer, is there music you haven't performed yet that is really on your personal wish list, something you really want to tackle that you can't wait to play?
Yes, of course. I am the we don't usually think like that, but the Baroque repertoire is so enormous. It's so. Some people tell me, well, okay, you can play Baroque cello, but what are you going to play? You just play Bach or Vivaldi, and then what? No, it's enormous, and there are so many composers and pieces to be discovered and to be played and to be performed in public. I with my ensemble with La Fontegara, we have done also some research of Mexican archives of instrumental music. The majority of Mexican Baroque music is sacred, vocal sacred music. But we're an instrumental ensemble, so we cannot play that. So we have been years and years looking for some clues to at least figure out what was played by the musicians in the 18th century or the 17th century. And we have found some things, and there's a lot of work to do in transcription and adaptation of the music. Some pieces are just the top line with no bass line, for example. So you need to compose or to reconstruct somehow the other part. And I think I would like to do more of that, and to probably do some explorations with sometimes it's not music meant to be played on the gamba or the cello, but you can always make your own version, which was what musicians did in the 18th century, just arrange or transcript or recompose. And I think I would like to do that a lot more.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, you played the gig with whoever you had, right? Whatever musicians were available.
Right.
what are you passionate about right now? Is there something, whether it's musical or otherwise, what is something that's really important or top of mind or very exciting for you right now in this moment?
Mm. Well, playing and playing. I cannot wait to play more with my colleagues and friends, which is something we we, we have not done as much
Yeah.
during the pandemic. So this is we all are vaccinated now,
Hmm.
just a few days ago. So we will be able to restart playing together.
Yeah.
And also I found during these months a very big pleasure in on playing solo, which is something that I didn't do as much because I was so busy playing with other people, and I love that. So during these months, I have found a passion in playing, in exploring the solo repertoire of the gamba and the cello. It's not that I discovered it, but I discovered for me playing, for example, the Telemann solo pieces for the gamba, which are very difficult and very interesting, very challenging, and Bach suites, which are a hit, of course, but isn't it's not something that was part of my music daily life before, and and now I am fascinated with playing that, practicing, struggling a bit with all these tricky passages, but it's part of the fun.
Oh. Will we have a solo recording to look forward to, maybe? You think?
Sure, sure, sure. I am already thinking of I'm very also it has to do with the instrument I have. The viola da gamba I own is a copy of a French instrument.
Mhm.
And when you play French music on that instrument, it really feels like it's written for that viol. So Saint Colombe, Demachy is music that I've been able to play a lot these days, and I would really like to bring up a bigger project.
Great. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Rafael Sanchez Guevara, a viola da gamba player and cellist based in his hometown of Mexico City. He is a teacher and he enjoys an international career as a performer. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Suzanne, thank you very much. Thank you for having me and for your interest. And it's been very nice to talk to you. And all the best for you and the audience. Thank you for listening, and hopefully see you soon.